Steph?
All right, now we want to take you north, where we have a boundary that is giving us rain, but there is quite the surprise behind this. So this is the surface boundary. And as we go in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere, you can see it's reflected to mid to upper levels down to the surface. But I want to point out what's behind it. Do you see these big troughs? Do you see all this energy coming down? This is dry, cool, crisp air that is going to get our highs in the 50s and 60s a month ahead of schedule. First, we have to get through the storms, and we do have warm temperatures today because ahead of this, we have a southerly flow, and you can see that with our wind barbs. Look at everything with that southerly flow. So that brings up the warm air and brings up those temperatures as well. Behind it, notice that our flow is from the north. So therefore, you get the cooler air. Right ahead of our boundary, you have that south-southwest flow. And then you have that northerly flow. And so that's where you actually would draw a front. If you were doing this by hand, you would just look at the winds, the pressure, dew points. You'd look at all these things and you'd be able to draw the actual front, which is what we did in school to learn how these things work. That's going to blow through and bring us stronger thunderstorms into Ohio, down into Kentucky as we head into our Friday, keeps pushing east into our Saturday. Saturday is when that really cold air does get into the Great Lakes. Tomorrow, Erie, Cleveland, Columbus, Cincy, down to Louisville. It storms for you. And our lakes are relatively warmer than what's happening in the atmosphere. These are still very cold lakes, if you ask me. But as you go up in the atmosphere, it's much, much colder. So the lakes are warm, and I'm going to air quote that, with cooler air going over them and some energy. This is a disturbance. That's a cold pocket. So cold air wants to sink. Those relatively warm air wants to rise up. And you could get a little spin happening, and that means that you could get possible water spouts here on Erie and Ontario. We are in water spout season because we have that, difference in temperature there. Notice the temperatures on Saturday, 50s and 60s, rain in the northeast. That's going to pull through and cool us off. And what a Sunday here from really the plains to the northeast, Jordan. Mwah.
Looks absolutely beautiful. And of course, that front that we're watching.
Plus, all new tomorrow in America's Morning headquarters. If you like living near the water, you're not alone. But U.S. coastlines face a challenging future and even a so-called slow poison. That sort of stuff. Well, right now, green light go. We have no problems across the board with our flights as things are just taking off. Of course, it is 8:20 in the morning on the East Coast, so things are just taking off. But you might have some slowdowns here, Orlando, Tampa, maybe Houston, New Orleans, because we're going to get rain all throughout the day. We could have some slowdowns there at the airports. I-10, it's wet for you, even up to I-20, but this rain will get even farther north as we head into tomorrow, as we just have this massive showers. And I'll tell you what, Louisiana, it is an all-day affair for us. Right now, it's just along the coastal areas. But watch as we go into the afternoon, you get some more of that daytime heating to really help kick some more things off. New Orleans has a surplus of 10 inches of rain. We don't need it. Houston has a surplus of over 6 inches of rain. And remember, we haven't had any tropical entity except for that little low or wannabe low that's spinning around in the Gulf of Mexico. Not necessarily going to get named. The Hurricane Center does have it highlighted, but regardless, it is going to bring rain here along the Gulf Coast. Talk about above average. We are over 20 inches above average on rainfall into Tampa. We could see some more storms as we head into the afternoon hours for us here, 75 I-4, and also over towards Clearwater, Jim.
Last year, 14 inches down at the same time.
This time, yeah. Well, welcome back into America's Morning headquarters. I'm meteorologist Stephanie Abrams, alongside meteorologist Jim Cantori and Jordan Steele. Downpours drenching Florida, triggering dangerous flooding in the Jacksonville area. 6 to 9 inches in 24 hours in parts of Duval County. Floodwater creeping closer to homes and cars. And unfortunately, we can expect more sights like this through the work week. Jacksonville is under a flood watch through tomorrow morning, which is Friday morning. Not just Jacksonville. Tampa had issues over towards Houston, Galveston. We've had a lot of problems. in and around Louisiana, Jim, where we're really going to see the bullseye for that heavy rain today.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see how this sets up.
Finally here, the start of the NFL season, back-to-back Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs, hosting Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens at Arrowhead Stadium.
All right, so joining us live to talk about how the weather could impact tonight's game as well as the rest of the season is sports meteorologist at rotogrinders.com, Kevin Roth. Kev, yeah, we know it's the season when we're talking to you. Let's start with tonight's game. I mean, first of all, two great teams. Is the weather a factor here at all?
I think the weather's going to be great. The game's going to be great. Temperatures 70s to 80s. Light winds.
Maybe everyone's talking.
I'm going a little higher. I'm going a little higher on that one. We'll see. You know, if she does, we'll get the camera shots of it.
I think the questions are how many shots sometimes she's going to be on camera.
Right,
all right. What about my Packers? I mean, they're in another country. They're on another continent.
Yeah, and the weather looks pretty good there. It is an open air stadium, so if there were to be any rain, you could see problems. That game on Friday.
All right, so what if we look ahead to the weekend? Do we have any weather worries for the games that we have this weekend?
Yeah, that's when things get interesting, Steph. You guys have been talking about.
And it's not even just going, it's getting to the game.
Right,
I mean, all that flooding
too.
that we had in Tampa yesterday, you couldn't even get there. Get home.
The pattern stays that way for the next week. Kevin, do you think the weather, overall matters more to the NFL than it ever has?
It does, without a doubt, right? Because the NFL used to be a running league. It was all about the ground and pound. And now everybody's airing it out, Jim. And the more you throw it and the greater percentage of your yardage that comes through the air, the more the wind matters, the more the rain matters. You've got guys dropping passes now. So each and every year, as teams trend into the pass, the weather matters more and more. And that puts me in a pretty good spot here talking sports weather.
And Jim asked me, I'm not really an NFL girly. I'm more of a college girly when it comes to football. Right. But he just said the reason why. I always found the NFL so slow and boring relative to college football, throwing it to the end zone. So I like that they're getting a little more.
You may have a good point there. And, Kev, since you do forecasting, what do you say you forecast the Lombardi Trophy? Who's going to have it?
Oh, you want the big winner? You know what?
I want to hear it right now.
I'm coming to you from Houston. Let's go with the Texans. CJ Stroud is a dog, Jim.
I never thought your heart would go into a true meteorological or even pick of what team has the best assets going for them. I was thinking the Packers, but
I mean, you just love your Packers. Hey, they got a shot. Jordan Love is legit.
Tell me he's not. Thank you.
He's amazing.
That's all I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
All right. Kevin Roth, sports meteorologist at rotogrinders.com.
We love you, Kev. Thanks for talking to us.
We always love when you come
with you guys.
Yeah. Another guy who loves NFL football and plays in a fantasy league is Jordan.
Jordan, how'd you do in your draft?
Well, Yahoo gives you a rating. I got a D+.